Hey, in front of me are two 2.5 liter V6 Duratec heads. The the silver one is from a normal 2.5, and this uh, kind of it's darker. We'll just say it's darker. This darker one is from an SVT 2.5. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but maybe it comes across. They bevel the entrance of the intake ports into the head. So they make it kind of round. But on the normal 2.5, they're just straight cut, just straight down. Versus these, which have a rounded taper to them. And the reason for that is because the SVT has a ported intake manifold, and it's actually matched to this plastic gasket. You can see here the head ports almost perfectly line up with this gasket. We take it and we put it over here on the stock 2.5 head. There's a much bigger lip in all of the ports. So I'll just set this down over here, and I made a drawing to kind of show what's going on in case it doesn't come across in camera, but here's the difference. You can see that the SVT, what I've been trying to show is that it has this curve to it right on the top, the entrance where the intake manifold bolts onto. The normal one does not. It's a square angle. But I find it weird because deep down inside the throats, both of these are the same exact diameter. And they have the same sized valves and so forth. Which is, fine, whatever. But the issue is that it would seem that the SVT intake doesn't do you any good because it goes from that 1.4, and that's right at the edge. That is right here, exactly where the gasket would be, versus 1.2, again, right at the ledge, the most outermost part of the intake port. So the SVT is just funneling it down a whole lot. So then that intake manifold doesn't really gain you anything. Where this is more of a straight shot, this you're forcing air into a funnel, and it's not a Venturi effect because it's not shaped like a Venturi, despite it having rounded curves on the top here. So again, I really don't see the benefit of the SVT intakes unless you're going to port your heads to match, which would be a very good idea. Because like I said, the SVT heads and intake manifolds are matched to the gaskets that you can buy for the intake manifolds. So if you happen to get SVT intake manifolds for your 2.5, thing to do is to port your 2.5 heads. Don't even bother with the SVT heads. You'll have to port those anyways. So just port your 2.5 heads and use your SVT intake manifolds. And then deep down inside the ports, I took a valve out of the SVT head and I noticed some nasty port casting. So let's say that this here is the seat. So over here it would have a matching side. So we'll pretend that the valve is straight in the middle here, and the seat has a normal taper to it, just like that. So this is our seat, okay? And then everything below this is going to be aluminum, and here's the issue. This is about what we're looking at here. And then that's our short bend. So this is the aluminum head. So this is the head itself. And this is the issue we have when I took out the valves, and I regret not taking a photo. I'll do it the next time I take the valves out because I still have to go through all of them, clean the heads, lap the valves. I actually have to grind the seats too, and then blend the seats. So here's the issue. So all this needs to be blend flush. this right here, this keyway thing, this notch section is no good. We want all this flat, straight like that, boom. So this right here creates turbulence. This right here creates draft. And again, more draft and turbulence right here underneath the valve. You clean all this up, that would, with how bad these heads are, that would grant you, say 15, 20, maybe more CFMs out of each cylinder. Times 6 cylinders, that's a lot of CFMs. They say doing this on a 1.6 liter CVH grants you 10 horsepower. So figure if you can clean that up on any head that's that bad, would grant you a 12% power boost. You know, that might be optimistic in the real world. Would you get exactly 12%? No, maybe you get a little bit more because you're skillful, or maybe you get a little less just because your head isn't horrible. But that's definitely something to consider, because, you know, I popped the head off and I couldn't believe that I saw that down in the intake port. You thought, you know, SVT head, that'd be really good. No, negatory. It's not extrude honed like the intake manifolds are. It's just cast crap. And that is no good. There shouldn't be any protrusions, especially a band protrusion like that. You know, a thick ring, a literal band of aluminum just cutting off your airflow coming in. Seat, I'm not too surprised. You know, seats have issues. But so I found on the long turn, again, this here is your seat. What I also found on the long turn was I saw some of this. So then this is your aluminum head. I saw this. This is all sorts of bad. So here we got turbulence, you know, serious issue. So that's no bueno. And like I said here, this is probably the worst of it all, is that shirt turn bend. And that's only on the intake. I haven't even popped off the exhaust, but it's not looking good. However, this right here as it sits is 200 horsepower. So the good news is when I improve upon that, I improve upon that 200 horsepower. We will be well over that, especially with a 3-liter block. So I'm very excited to get into this, and once I have the 3-liter heads off, I will compare those with these. They all do have the same exact exhaust ports and porting. They're all casted identical as far as the exhaust ports go anyways. But we'll see if the 3-liter valves are bigger or not. I know that the intake ports are in an entirely different shape. They don't rely on secondaries, unlike these 2.5s. But we'll get into that later, and then maybe someday we'll get some late Cougar heads and see how those compare. But so far, I'm not surprised, but not impressed. But I am excited, because we will improve upon that greatly.